Good afternoon to all. The prelims is coming closer. Thoda become serious now. These 5-6 months will just pass by. The mains results are expected any time. For the first time, UPSC released a notification that the results would be announced soon. It generally doesn't happen with UPSC. I don't know what made UPSC to give that statement. I don't know. So it is what you call. It's a very big what you call. It's a puzzle. It never happened in the history of UPSC. UPSC telling I am going to declare that. Probably they are also seeing that students are not serious. Let me take out one notification कि serious हो जाओ. UPSC में इंटरव्यू की तैयारी करना शुरू करो. फेल हो गए तो प्रीलिम्स की तैयारी करना शुरू करो. ठीक है, whatever. ठीक है, चलो. We'll start with our weekly current affairs. Certain topics are there. The first topic is the Gulf Cooperation Council. Why is GCC important for India? Anybody? Acha, what is the common thread between them? Anybody? What is the common thread running? One is, as somebody said, one common thread is religion. Other common thread from the, see, we are more concerned in UPSC about the governance dimensions and less with the religion dimension. ठीक है, UPSC में religion के लिए थोड़ा ज़्यादा जगह नहीं है. हाँ, what is the common shared value? Come again. गवर्नेंस स्ट्रक्चर बोल के एक क्लू भी दिया. मैं गवर्नेंस स्ट्रक्चर बोल रहा हूँ, फूड बोल रहे हो. हाँ, नाउ डिफरेंट टाइप्स ऑफ मोनार्कीज. There are absolute monarchies, there are constitutional monarchies, there are federal monarchies. Anybody out of this 6 countries? GCC is of 6 countries, no? GCC is 6 countries, right? Yes or no? GCC is a, what do you call, grouping of how many countries? Grouping of 6 countries. GCC is a grouping of 6 countries. Anybody out of this 6? Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Bahrain, Qatar, UAE, Oman. Which are constitutional monarchies, which are federal monarchies, and which are absolute monarchies? Saudi Arabia and one more friend, Oman, are absolute monarchies. See, one dimension of absolute monarchies, you need to understand that it does not mean a country cannot have a constitution. It does not mean even in a country which is absolute monarchy can still have a constitution. It may have a limited effect on the governance structure, but it can have a constitution. These are the 2 countries which are absolute monarchies. And these 3 friends, Kuwait, Bahrain and Qatar. Kuwait, Bahrain and Qatar are constitutional monarchies. Where constitution plays an important role in the governance structure. Though what you call monarchy is there. Kuwait, Bahrain and Qatar. These are the 3 countries. And one guy who is left is your UAE. It is a federal monarchy. See, very beautiful setup they have. Other than the central monarch, there are 7 other monarchs also. But all those 7 monarchs kind of show allegiance to the central monarch. That is the reason why it is a very classic what you call combination of provincial autonomy with monarchy. So it is a federal monarchy. These 3 dimensions you should be aware of. Monarchy does not mean absence of constitution. Please, many of the students have this in their mind. it is does not mean the absence of constitution. Constitution will be there, but however, depending on what type of monarchy you are seeing, the dimension of the what you call the influence of constitution in the governance structure is decided. Okay? Now what the question is, why GCC is important to India? One is dimension oil. It is said that this is the only grouping, this is a grouping with which India's trading relationship is the highest. In 2021 we are touching 150-140 billion dollars, more than ASEAN. Please make a note, the trading volume, the trade volume with GCC is higher than the trade volume with ASEAN. Do not get confused, okay? Because a question can be framed on those lines. Now we were trying to, why it is a news is, earlier we were trying to what you call have a free trade agreement with GCC, but what has happened, because as you all spoke, because of this factor of religion as one of the common threads running across the GCC, Pakistan has always played an important role in limiting India's deeper integration with the GCC, on the grounds that saying that India is a country that is kind of subjugating the Muslim population, so we should not be trading so vociferously with India. Now you make a small box, Pakistan trade volume with GCC. What is Pakistan's trade volume? Whether it is higher than India or lower than India. The irony is, on one side he is stopping them from trading with us, on the second side they are not interested to trade with Pakistan. That is the beauty, that is the irony, that is why that irony dimension comes in this particular relationship. Okay? So the trade volume, when I said with India it is touching 140-150 billion dollars, with Pakistan it is paltry, it is very less when compared to India. Okay? This is one important dimension. The second important factor is, see, why is it so, we keep on harping upon FTAs. Why a country is harping upon FTA, and what is the difference between FTA, customs union or single market? Single market is also called market union. Europe is a classic example of market union or a single market. Europe is an example. Now what is the difference in them? Is it only the difference in the integration level? Yes or no? It is only the difference in the integration level. Say for example, there is a country A, there is a country A, there is a country B, and there are several other countries, for example C, D, E and F. Okay? Now whenever a country signs a free trade agreement with any other country, we are only trying to achieve two things. One, reduce the tariffs, the taxes, import tax, export tax, reduce the tariffs as much as possible, and over a period of time achieve zero tariff rate, so that the countries who are signing FTAs with each other, there is no tariff restrictions while trading with each other. This happens when both the countries are generally on par with each other. If say for example, if a higher country is there, a smaller country is there, if it signs a free trade agreement, what will happen is over a period of time, the larger country or the superior country, because of its ability to produce goods and services at a much lower rate, over a period of time this country will capture the entire market of the small country. So there is a imbalance between the trade. So that is the reason why you think 100 times, you discuss with the countries for decades together before you sign the trade related agreements on the FTA, because it cannot be instant decision. Modi going to Japan tomorrow and taking a call, and you have to understand this, these free trade agreements have to be ratified by the parliaments of the country, very important. They have to be ratified. This was in news recently, 2 days before. The Australian Parliament has ratified the free trade agreement with India, economic cooperation and trade agreement. Okay? So that is how whenever the agreements are getting signed finally, the ratification by the parliament is an important element to give finalization effect to that particular agreement. Now, I am trying to explain the difference between the three. When I say, if I have a free trade agreement, a country A has a free trade agreement with country C, it means that either the tariffs are low, either the tariffs between the countries are low, or they are zero. This is a possibility. But in any case, this relationship is not imposing any kind of restriction on how you trade with this particular country. With him, I can have reduced tariff and also zero tariff. If I have not signed a free trade agreement with D, my FTA with C is not affecting my trade with D in any way. I can have increased tariff, I can even have zero tariffs also, but it is not related to this FTA with this country. So, there is no common external tariff. The word is no common external tariff. The tariff I have fixed with you, but for others it is not common what I will give it to you. But if it is a grouping, if the FTA is not bilateral but the FTA is a grouping, in that scenario, in that FTA if it is grouping, then the other members of the group can also seek similar FTA. That is the reason why India came out of the RCEP. If you remember, RCEP stood for Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership. It was a grouping of around 15-20 states who were trying to establish a free trade agreement. Because if it is that grouping, it means all the countries will also have the same. So, India was not comfortable with the presence of certain countries in that grouping, because this balance of trade is still not achieved with India and those countries. And more importantly, this RCEP did not speak about services at all. It was silent on services, which happened to be the strong point of India, and it did not give any timeline also. In the last moment India asked, at least give us the timeline when you are planning to introduce services also in the free trade agreement. Now, you have to understand, the free trade agreement can be further cut. Free trade agreement only in goods, free trade agreement in goods and services. So, that is the reason why when two countries negotiate, sit down and negotiate with each other, it goes into decades and decades of what you call negotiation to ensure that none of your markets are negatively or over and above positively affected. That is the reason why it will take time. Now, in the second scenario of customs union, what happens is, if you are part of a customs union, then the common external tariff also starts applying. It means whatever you will trade with him, whether you have signed individually a FTA with him or not, if he is part of that grouping, the same FTA rules will apply to other countries also. It is called a customs union. It is a union. Say, tariffs are basically related to customs duties, especially when you are trading with each other. It is primarily you are trying to control the import duty, nothing but the import duty or the customs duty. So, that is the reason why it is called a customs union. The difference between FTA and customs union is, here you can have a separate tariff for other countries, but in a customs union you need to have a common external tariff. Please make a note. Please make a note. When the countries sign FTA, they try to bring the tariffs to minimum or zero over a period of time. To minimum or zero over a period of time. Full stop. However, they retain the authority to impose differential tariff rate with other countries. Differential tariff rate with other countries. This is the FTA. But when it comes to customs union, make a heading, customs union. Customs union, right, is the next level of FTA. Customs union is the next level of FTA where apart from zero tariffs, the countries in the grouping, apart from zero tariffs, the countries in the grouping maintain common external tariff, This facility of common external tariff showcases deeper integration in trade and relations. Okay? This is what you call a customs union. Now, can I make a statement? Customs union is the next level of FTA. Can I make a statement? Customs union is the next level of FTA. Now the next level is, I am not only having a common tariff rate with all the countries. Now the next level is, I will have a common currency also. I will have a common currency and a common regulator also. Common currency and a common regulator also. Please make a note. The next level, put a heading market union or single market. Put a heading market union or single market, and then write market union or single market. Then write the market union is the next level of integration where apart from zero tariffs, comma, no border restrictions, comma, common external tariff, comma, it also has a common currency and a common monetary policy, common currency, comma, common monetary policy, and also common regulator. So this is it is considered to be the highest level of integration. Market union is considered to be the highest level of integration. This is where your European Union is a classic example of market union. That is the reason why if you are aware, if you are studying economy for 2-3 years, you know that the FTA with European Union is extending for decades together. Why it is getting extended? Because all the 28 countries have to be negotiated with when you want that FTA with that particular one country. So it will take time. Now coming back to our topic, free trade agreement with whom we are talking about? GCC. So it is in news primarily because the GCC and India have resumed their talks on free trade agreement between India and the GCC. Now my question to you all is, that's again I will go back to my question, what is the importance of GCC? Why India is wanting to have a free trade agreement? कौन बताएगा? One, you said oil, we are importing majorly oil from the GCC countries. So in this backdrop, you tell me what is it that we are looking for from the GCC? Why India is interested, or why GCC is interested to trade with India? One dimension of India where India's importance is the first dimension is the diaspora. One is diaspora, though it is not directly related to trade, but in some dimensions because the remittances come, so that is how it is. It has trade implications. What else? opportunity to exports to that area. What are we exporting to GCC? Labor, ठीक है, services, agricultural products, diversification of the market for your agricultural products. What else? और क्या दे रहे हो आप गल्फ कंट्रीज को? What are you giving? Jewelry and also petroleum products also. Fresh students, there is a difference between crude oil and petroleum products. Petroleum students लिखा. That's the beauty. The students are no less than petroleum. और वो erase भी नहीं हो रहा है. That's the beauty. ठीक है? So petroleum students products. Okay sir. ठीक. You are no less than petroleum. ठीक है? You can blast anytime. है ना? So this is how the importance of GCC. See, one importance you need to understand. You have to understand how the government thinks, not as a student. The government wants to reduce the influence or inroads of Pakistan in GCC. Now what is the best way? Because India wants the Pakistan and GCC, there should be some distance. Why? Because this is the country to which Pakistan regularly goes asking for money on the name of safeguarding the religion culture, but using it, diversifying that money for terrorism activities and all. So India wants this deep bonding to be diluted in some dimensions, and the best way to dilute this deep bonding is establish trade relationship with that particular grouping. Once that is done, from $150 billion, say for example in next 25 years, if you are able to touch $500 billion, we know the growth trajectory that we have aspired for $5 trillion GDP target, that cannot be happening without importing more crude oil. So if the more crude oil has to come, the primary cluster is this only. So if that is the case, I need to have a free trade agreement. So if that trade volume goes up to $500 billion, definitely that vacuum between GCC and Pakistan would be created. So you have to understand, though it is an FTA, it also has the geopolitics under its belly. So that geopolitics dimension also should appear in your answer. That's the intention why I spoke in that dimension. Okay? So this is about the entire article that we spoke about. See, somewhere it is written, we have already touched how much? $154 billion in the financial year 21 and 22. Believe you me, 2040, by 2040, we will easily touch $300 billion, and Pakistan will be nowhere even in 10-20% also. So what will happen is that trade volume will create the vacuum between Pakistan and the GCC. Okay? But one dimension that you need to understand is that there is a trade deficit or trade surplus. This dimension you need to understand, and the answer is trade deficit. It means we are importing more from GCC and exporting less to GCC. This dimension also, but it is very close. The contest of this, the gap of this is very less. This dimension you need to understand very well, because the gap is very less. Now, just a brief look, other countries with whom we are trying to have a free trade agreement. India, Australia, I just now spoke. Very recently, Australian Parliament has already endorsed the free trade agreement with India. Maybe it is a matter of time, but I don't see it happening in 2022. Maybe in the first quarter of 2023, this may happen just before, at the time of our budget and other things. The biggest challenge of FTA between India and Australia is because of Australia's excellent performance in agriculture. This is one sector where we are worried, if I sign a free trade agreement with Australia, how it is going to affect my agricultural sector. Why? Because see, FTA, the classic example of the biggest mistake of signing an FTA without applying mind and body together is India-Japan FTA. out of exuberance, we went and in a hurry, we signed the FTA, and our entire iron and steel industry literally collapsed. So that is the reason why it was a lesson learnt with India and Japan FTA. That is the reason why we are hesitant in a hurriedly signing any FTA with any other country. So lot of deliberations are being done, and because of the historical bonding with Japan and because of the trade relationship with Japan, so much of developmental assistance Japan had given to India historically, once the agreement was signed, we could not do anything about it. So that is the reason why we felt the mistake that we have committed. So we are deliberate in signing all the FTAs thereafterwards. Come again. See, what happens is, at what cost? Because you are getting so much of developmental assistance, ODA, the official developmental assistance. India is the biggest beneficiary of that platform by Japan. So in this backdrop, even if it is 4 ane 8 ane ka change, so it may have a big impact on your market, but it may not sound very comfortable to the Japanese governance structure. So that is why we take care, whatever we can do at our country level, more subsidies, more other dimensions, that is how we try to cover it up. But we generally do not go back to the country after signing. It shows your immaturity. It shows your immaturity in some dimension. So you need to bring in some changes within your own geographical domain. Okay? India, European Union also, we know it is pending for a long time, and most important again, agricultural products is one dimension where lot of issues are happening between India and European Union, because now this guy has come out of the European Union. Now we are planning to have a separate FTA. It was supposed to happen couple of months before, but because of some loose statements by somebody, again it went back to zero. So it will take some more time for this FTA between India and UK also to happen. Okay? And the biggest what you call target with India and UK's FTA is, on the agenda is securing a patent regime against evergreening by pharma companies seeking easier work visa as well as access to Indian movies in the region under the proposed FTA. Access to culture is also part of your FTA. So that is how in FTA, as I told you, do not think it is only related to trade. It has got geopolitical underpinnings, it has called cultural underpinnings, it has called religious underpinnings also. It has also got all these dimensions would be there in an FTA. Okay? So this is one important dimension. UK has always what you call the IPR regime of India. What is IPR? Intellectual property right. What are the various classifications of IPR? कौन बताएगा हाथ ऊपर? Which are the various types of property rights? कौन हाथ ऊपर कौन बताएगा? Which are the various types of IP rights? The intellectual property rights? Patent, copyright, trademark, industrial design. See, the major four are patent, trademark, copyrights, industrial designs. These are the four major. Patent is for a product that you have discovered, right? And trademark is for basically identifying your product. Apple, the moment I use the word apple, that half bitten apple come to your mind, that is the trademark of that particular Apple product. Copyright is related to literary contributions, books and articles and other things, research scholar material. And industrial design is related to the industrial productions. The processes also are important in the industrial designs, and the machinery designs are also part of the industrial designs. These are the four major patents. Now what happens is, whenever patent is awarded, it is generally said that the patent is awarded for a period of 20 years. Now what is happening is, these advanced countries, when the 20 years period is about to get over, because patent gives you the exclusive right of production, commercial production and sale. Others cannot produce the same, they cannot copyright and sell. So what happens is, maybe at the 19th year of the life cycle of that particular product, they will minimally change some cosmetic change. They will bring in some cosmetic change and they try to extend this for another 20 years. So this process of extending the patent after the 20 years only through a cosmetic change is known as evergreening of patents. So it has been observed that both the countries blame each other for evergreening of patents, especially by the pharma companies, Though this is one of the most important bone of contention between India and UK. This is the important contention between India and US also. IPR is one regime which has spoiled largely the relationships between India and US. ठीक है, IPR regime. Now one more country, UAE. Now that you are going to be in this service for next 40 years, if at all you get into UPSC, if not then in some other domain, one country to be watched is UAE. This guy wants to come out of that, belonging to the Arabia, dependency on oil. He wants to get away from that tag. He is doing everything possible to get away from that particular tag. So he is trying to emerge as a because he has two big countries to fight. One is, the other is, these two countries he has to fight for his place, rightful place in the market. So he is doing everything possible to go global. The intention is, one, to go global, second is to, very important, and one important element of UAE you have to understand is that he is not only doing hard power, he is also trying to utilize, because none of the countries have this soft power in that particular area, so he is working on that soft power. Very recently he also made a statement, he wants to what you call arbitrate between India and Pakistan for the Kashmir issue. We said thank you very much, next time don't call. Okay? And not only this, anywhere in the country, anywhere in the world, not country, any two countries fighting with each other, he is extending a helping hand because he wants to rise his soft power as a world negotiator. Very, very important. Switzerland has been one of the most successful countries when it comes to negotiations. Norway, another country very successful with the negotiation. So he wants to establish his place in that field of domain of negotiations. Okay? So this is about India and UAE. This is also pending. Canada is also pending. Yeah. Now comes the most important topic of today's discussion, Election Commission. See, there are some words we need to talk about before we venture into this topic in the first place. One word is judicial. Please just keep noting down the word. जब घर जाओगे Google करके exact definition लिख लेना. One is judicial interpretation. One is judicial see this word interpretation, no? सबसे ज़्यादा कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंट असेंबली में डिबेट इसी पे हुआ था. Who would be the interpreter of the constitution, whether it will be the parliament or judiciary. On this, who will uphold the constitution, इसके ऊपर भी बहुत डिबेट हुआ. There were so many debates in the constituent assembly because this, if you get this into your domain, you get that power of that into your domain. So judicial interpretation, then judicial independence, judicial interpretation, judicial independence, then judicial overreach, judicial overreach. Premlata is getting goosebumps, no? Law optional student कि सर ये सब मुझे पता है. Yeah, judicial independence, judicial overreach. Now overreach, OVERREACH, overreach ఓకే మనకు కాని విషయాల్లో మనము ఓకే పెడితే ఇట్ ఈస్ కాల్డ్ overreach. I will explain all of them, don't worry. See, we all know that there are three branches of what you call governance structure in India. One is executive, legislature and judiciary. And the constitution, there is no better day to discuss about constitution than today, right? अच्छा, now that modern history is over for some of you, एक छोटा सा सवाल, जिसको पता है हाथ उठाएगा, आंसर बोलेगा तो मार खाएगा, ठीक? अच्छा, who for the first time raised this that we need to have our own constituent assembly? कौन बोला? आपने बोला मैम? अच्छा, you said, okay. You don't know Hindi, right? MN रॉय है बेटा, हाँ MN वही सही है, सही, चिंता मत कर, वही था. See, you have to understand the, coming back to our topic, see, whenever you are talking, what the Supreme Court is saying in this particular, I will give you the crux of the issue, then we will come to the article in particular. Government recently appointed one guy as the election commissioner. What was his name? Arun Goel. ठीक है, Arun Goel has been appointed as the one of the election commissioner. Now we know that Election Commission of India is a constitutional body. Article 324 to 329 deals with Election Commission of India. It is a constitutional body. It means that the government is constitutionally mandated to have the election commission in its functioning. All the articles are there. Now, presently there was a case pending in the Supreme Court on one issue related to appointments of as election commissioners. The government is delaying the appointment of election commissioners. This was the issue. Now, when this issue was pendency in the Supreme Court, the government appointed the election commissioner Arun Goel. Now Supreme Court asked, when you know that this issue is pending in my court, how did you appoint the election commissioner? Then the government said, who are you to ask? Simple. Who are you to ask? Because Article 329, if you happen to read Article 329, it says that the court, the Supreme Court or the judiciary will stay away from elections related dimensions. It will come into picture only if a complaint has been filed, that these elections were rigged or something like that. Then only the role of the judiciary will come into play. If there is no complaint as such on elections, and now that historically the Election Commission of India has functioned efficiently, conducting the elections rightly on time with bare minimum issues happening at the time of election, you do not have the authority to question my authority to appoint the election commissioner. But problem क्या है? The Supreme Court people ये ज़्यादा पढ़े लिखे लोग हैं, lawyers, ठीक है. Now Supreme Court said, thank you very much मोदी जी, आज का दिन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन डे है, एक कॉपी हम आपको भी भिजाएंगे और उस कॉपी में आप पढ़िएगा. In that copy the constitution is very clearly saying, as per the act brought in by the parliament, provisions of the law by the parliament, the appointment of election commissioners should happen. Now the Supreme Court is asking, where is the law? The law making power is with the legislature. The law making power is with the legislature. Interpreting power is with the judiciary. Now the Supreme Court asked government, why is it so कि 70 years हो गया, you are not making a law on the appointment, you are not putting any qualification related to appointment of election commissioners. Why are you not prescribing the procedure of appointment in law? Why are you not giving statutory dimension only to the fact related to appointment of people as the election commissioners? And why is it so that you are picking up only bureaucrats as election commissioners? The big question he has. Because are you trying to say that you are what you call reserving this entire domain of elections as a plush postings for the bureaucrats who have retired? Why is it so? Then the government has no answer to it. So this is the controversy between the government and the election commission. See, the government has every right to appoint. Supreme Court is not saying I am not questioning your right to appoint. I am saying the appointment should not be what you called arbitrary. It should be based on a law. There should be a committee that should be formed. Maybe 1 people, 2 people, 3 people, 5 people, 10 people, your choice. But make a law, what should be the procedure, what should be the terms of engagement. Now, one more dimension the Supreme Court said, when the Chief Election Commissioner gets a 6-year term, the Chief Election Commissioner gets a 6-year term, why is it that people are leaving before? Why is it that, and these are the people who are handpicked by you, and definitely the government will handpick the government will never handpick a no man, they will handpick a yes man. Why is it that even a yes man is not serving for 6 years? It means that there is something wrong in your what you call way that you are trying to conduct the elections. It could be timing, it could be rules and regulations, it could be anything. So to cover up these dimensions, you need to immediately bring in a law, because the moment it brings in a law, the court gets the right to interpret the law. So that is the reason why the court wants to keep a tight hold on the government, on the executive. When I say government, on the executive. What is the difference between these two words? Generally we use very loosely, these two words. Sorry. We use these two words very loosely, interchangeably, What is the difference? When I use the word state or when I use the word government, what is the difference? State is a
combination of the organs of the country, and government is
borders of the country, organs of the country. यहाँ कोई बोल रहा था, आवाज यहाँ से भी आई थी, कौन था? Vanilla, you were there? हाँ. See, there are 4 elements to a state. 1, territory. Yes, territory, population, sovereignty, and lastly, so when I am saying state, I am referring to all 4 of them. But when I am only saying government, I am referring only to one element of the state, that is government. So the Supreme Court, that is why I said Supreme Court is trying to establish a tight hold on the, I did not use the word state because it will become wrong on part of the judiciary. So it is trying to have a strong hold on the government कि तुम किसको अपॉइंट कर रहे हो, who is that man, what is his qualification, why only bureaucrat, why not a doctor, why not a teacher, why not an NGO, why not a politician for that matter, why are you only putting a bureaucrat in that particular seat? ठीक है? So this is the issue between the Supreme Court and the government of India. So now we'll have to wait and watch how things will unfold. ठीक है? See, what is the Supreme Court asking? The court gave the government 24 hours to produce the file of appointment of former IAS Arun Goel as the election commissioner. The court asked the government how it had appointed Goel as election commissioner when an application questioning the prolonged vacancy was already pending before the constitutional bench. Very important. Constitutional bench means minimum 5 judges of either High Court or Supreme Court. If those 5 judges are deciding, 5 or more judges are deciding on any issue, that bench is called a constitutional bench. Anybody where there are 2 or 3, it is called a divisional bench. 2 or 3 judges, it is called a divisional bench. Now, what is the problem? Supreme Court is looking at the manner in which you are appointing the election commissioner. The very important word is manner. and whether the manner of appointment can put in a person who can act independently in his post or not. Why center only considered bureaucrats for the election commission? अभी मोदी का सवाल, मोदी का जवाब देखते हैं. What Modi is telling? Very simple. The Modi is telling, first question, they have worked perfectly fine. They worked perfectly fine. Elections were held on time and there was no need to question the system of appointment. Question the system. There it was. He asked the manner. He is saying don't question the system. The court should only intervene if a challenge had been raised against any specific appointment of election commissioner. The court does not have any right. The independence of the executive was as sacrosanct as the independence of judiciary. So this is the answer to that particular question raised by the Supreme Court. And what it is, certain provisions in the constitution which I have mostly covered. It says no law for the appointment of election commissioners. The court said article 324 of the constitution dealing with the appointment of the election commissioners had envisaged the enactment of a law to provide for the procedure for such appointments, but the government has till now not done. So whatever appointments are happening, they are arbitrary appointments. That's what the Supreme Court is trying to say. The chief election commissioner's terms have fallen from over 8 years in the 1950s to less than 300 days, means less than a year since 2004. Issue of short tenures they have brought in. Is the independence of the election commissioner really there or just in the spirit? Election commissioners may be honest but can have definite political leaning which makes them less independent. They can be honest, they may be honest, but they may not be independent in their functioning. Please make a question, mains related. Critically comment on the recent issue of tussle between the tussle between the government and Supreme Court on the issue of appointment of election commissioners, Full stop. Also give your views on the stand that you take. Give your views on the stand that you take. अच्छा, whose stand you will take? Views के साथ बताना, only stand नहीं चलेगा. हाँ, till couple of years I used to take the stand of government, but since couple of years in this particular issue I am personally not taking the side of the government here. See, what happens is, say for example, I have completed 34 years of my service as a bureaucrat. I am about to retire couple of months afterwards. Now, because after spending 34 years in the bureaucracy, I know which is a good posting after retirement. All these things, my cards are there in front of me. Certain institutions where I can be placed as an advisor or a director or something. Now, in that list, election commission is also there. Now, in this time period, 6 to 8 months of my service left, there is some important portfolio that I am holding, and government का एक file मेरे पास रखी है. Now I call up Modi or Amit Shah. I say, if I get that, you get this. Possible? If I get that, you get this. Now, if there is a procedure established for a bureaucrat getting that, can he make that claim to the government? Now, what will happen? The government will keep that seat vacant for 9 to 10 months till such time this guy retires, and immediately after retirement 2-3 महीने का gap देने के बाद उसको appoint करेगा वहाँ पे. A common man like you and me will never come to know about all these things. You only know that this seat was vacant for 9 months or 12 months. You will never know why this has happened. So that is the reason why the court is asking about. I am talking about the pendency. Why you had to wait for this long period to fill in that particular vacancy. On top of it, when there was no procedure. If there was a procedure, the procedure is taking time, that excuse is also not there. It is just a decision of you or maybe couple of other close people who are deciding over dinner table whom to appoint the election commissioner. If that is the case, why there is so much of pendency? The biggest reason why Supreme Court is asking for the procedure to be brought in by law is so that before an office falls vacant, you start with your procedures of appointing the next person, so that that gap is not there in the previous person and the next person. Try to understand this important point. Okay? Yeah. Anybody having any doubt what has been spoken since the class started? Two topics.
As there is no law, then the appointment is only on basis of executive order.
What is the procedure of appointing the RBI governor? Hello, do not forget this. प्लीज होमवर्क. किस किस को ये लोग अपॉइंटमेंट करते हैं? व्हाट इज द कंपोजिशन? अपॉइंटमेंट्स कमिटी क्या है? व्हाट इज द कंपोजिशन? whom all they appoint using this particular route? All these things have to be decided. Now, is that grouping a democratic grouping, or it is a grouping of in-house people? All these dimensions have to be understood by you. Appointments committee. All important top appointments of our country are made by the appointments committee, headed by none other than your Modi ki jai. ठीक है? So that is how Modi will appoint everybody. That's one logic. So that is why, see, that's what they are trying to say. If you bring in a law, it is better. Bring in a law, it is better. If you want the appointments committee to do it, let that be written. That's the logic. ठीक है? Yeah. हाँ? ट्रेड हाँ, मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ कॉमर्स. मिनिस्टर bureaucrats do not have signing authority. ఎందుకుండదు? Do you think the minister has the head to draft all the things? See, you have to understand, if some things are done in hurry, there would be some geopolitical compulsions. This you need to understand. A geopolitical compulsions law, maybe some important dimensions, we did not put that attention, the effect of this signing. So that is why. It does not mean the bureaucrats were not involved. No. Nothing can happen on ground without bureaucrats on ground. Your ministry, they are experts in the ministry. No. See, the minister is only the head. Do you think minister alone is running the ministry? There are hundreds of people working under ministry. So there are a lot of experts there.
Bureaucrats,
all need not be bureaucrats. If this is the ladder of experts who are assisting the minister in performing the duties, the bureaucrats are maybe somewhere here. Here all technical experts would be there, domain experts would be there, what you call relationship related experts would be there, all the product experts would be there. So everybody combinedly will give see what the minister is, he cannot survive without this support system, and you are the link between the minister and the other support system as a bureaucrat. You are not the minister, but you are not lower, you are somewhere in the middle of the hierarchy, and anything from the ministry, if it is getting proposed outside, definitely he is the one who is doing the work. Through him only everything is going. So you are there, definitely there. But because of maybe some geopolitical compulsion, we did not give that attention to certain minute details. Fine details got missed. Huh. That's what UAE wants to get out of that GCC Connect. That you are not understanding. because things are getting delayed. When a grouping is trying to fight for form an FTA, it gets delayed, but it is restless. I told you, it wants to establish itself as a regional player. So for that, see what happens is, when say GCC is there, 6 countries, all 6 countries combinedly or individually have 50 FTAs. UAE alone is having 50 FTAs. It means that it is trying to show that I am more deeper connected with the world, you all combined together. So that is the message it is trying to give. So that is how countries will come out of that grouping and try to establish FTAs. There would be one country, say Saudi Arabia, it is not wanting to engage with India, but UAE is wanting to engage with India. So whenever the FTA will happen on the platform of GCC, let it happen. But individually let me have a FTA with India. So once that GCC FTA happens, this FTA becomes null and void. Becomes null and void. Why? Because it is similar. No, overlapping nahi hoga. It cannot overlap. If it overlaps, then you will have to go towards customs union, market union, उस dimension. ठीक है? चलो. हाँ. No. See, the revision of the FTA clause is always present. You can revise your FTAs. That's what, with Japan what the problem had happened was, see, that's what you have to understand. There is no balance of play here. The power balance is in favor of Japan, obviously, and because of certain dimensions of dependency on Japan, they were more important for us than this iron and steel. We could not go back to that. That's the logic. So that is why in the first place, when you sign anything, we are making an effort that things are in place, nice and proper. That is why India thinks 100 times before signing anything. That is why India thinks. That's why I told you probably in the GS Foundation batch classes, whenever a smaller country is signing any international document, the only column of signature they will see is whether India has signed it or not. If India has signed it, they will close their eyes. They know ye sale bilkul baal ki khal nikal ke they will read and write everything. So that is when they only sign. And one best country is Pakistan. And he will ensure that what India has signed he should not miss. Just to fix him, at times we sign something. And he also signs thinking that India has signed without applying his head. So he gets fixed there. Okay? Yeah. ये क्या था? I2 U2. Yeah, this I2 U2 also is in news. 2 I's are there. 2 I's are India and Israel, and 2 U's are USA and see again this guy has come. Again this guy has come, and now this guy is going closer to. See how geopolitics are changing. एक टाइम पे दुश्मन था, अभी भी है, था क्या? अभी भी है. But at the same time, he is trying to create that vacuum with, right? And the entire Gulf is very angry with him for going closer to Israel. So that is how he is saying, तुम्हारे साथ when I am with you, I am not able to expand because you are still driven by your. I don't want to, because he wants to diversify his economy. For that particular purpose, you see that these groupings like I2, U2 are happening. This primarily, the aim of this grouping is to, please make a note, discuss common areas of mutual interest. And this grouping is also called West Asian Quad. West Asian Quad, QUAD, West Asian Quad. See, common shared values. All three of them except for UAE, democracy. UAE is a, abhi bola, UAE is a federal monarchy. Even in the absence of a common shared value, you are having trying to establish a strong grouping. Now, when UAE comes closer to them under I2, U2, see, this is not a military alliance, please. I told you many a times, India will never be part of any alliance because India does not want to get entrapped into global issues or other country issues. So it is not an alliance. Quad is also not an alliance. It is just a discussion forum. It is just a discussion forum. Quad consists of India, US, Japan and Australia. The intention there is to contain the influence of China in Indo-Pacific. China in Indo-Pacific. ठीक है. See, in IR there is a word called hyphenation and dehyphenation. There is a word called hyphenation and dehyphenation. What is this? Anybody? Hyphenation and dehyphenation. Now the world is going towards dehyphenation. The moment I am saying Indo-China, it means I am looking at both of them as one common entity when I am framing my policies towards them. So I am hyphenating India with China. That dash is called hyphen. So it is called hyphenation. When I say Pacific, I never say only Pacific. I always say Indo-Pacific. So this is hyphenation. So there are reasons why certain areas, geographical areas, are always hyphenated, because people want to establish that this is not one particular entity, it is a combination of two entities. Now the world is moving from hyphenation to dehyphenation. So that is where these topics assume greater significance. Okay? Now, and what is the talk on? Basically the I2U2 met recently for food security cooperation, very important dimension. That is the reason why India is playing a major role in this I2U2, because of your capacity to export the agricultural products to these particular countries. ठीक है? I2U2 and it can India also, US also, both.
But it has more capacity than us.
See, US का कैसा है, जहां पे ज्यादा पैसा मिलेगा, that concept of global good or concept of global welfareism is not present in US. That is not one of the foreign policy, what you call morals of US. See, this trade that we are doing with the countries, are we trying to earn huge profits? No. Only the aim is to earn some dollars, that's all. और कुछ भी नहीं है. I am not wanting to become rich by selling wheat, though that's not my intention. The best part is, the India does not want to become an advanced country in some dimensions. No, it wants to become a welfare country. There is no hunger for becoming superpower. No, if it is at the cost of welfareism, all the more no. So that is how, and not welfareism related to me only. It is global welfare. That is why Modi's one of the national interest dimensions of foreign policy of Modi is Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. That is what he is trying to propound. Okay? So from that perspective also we need to see. Yeah, please make a note of this. I will underline certain words, how this is significant. One, how the I2U2 can be significant to India. One is, the countries will look to modernize infrastructure. This is one area I am interested. Exploring the low carbon development avenues, because of the presence of countries like Israel and US, I am interested here. Public health, where I can contribute what you call positively, and promote the development of critical emerging and green technologies, where Israel will play an important role. So that is how the significance of this I2U2 grouping is based on these four pillars. One is infrastructure, carbon, that is these two come under the carbon, public health and public health. Okay? So these are the four areas I want to basically do. But what certain what you call global critics say, that this is an effort by USA to single out, it is said USA is doing nothing but trying to single out Iran and gradually remove one person from that peninsula and isolate Iran in the global affairs. See, if the isolation happens of a country, you know that once the isolation starts, if the isolation starts, the economic collapse starts. If the economic collapse starts, the military sustenance becomes difficult, and if you bargain at this particular stage, you bargain from an advantageous position. So that is the reason why US is trying to isolate Iran. See, US and Iran historically best of the friends, historically best of the friends. जब ईरान से मतलब निकल गया, US became his enemy. Literally मतलब निकल गया. The word is literally. जब when his self interest were contained, US immediately became enemy of Iran. One of the most advanced countries in the Middle East, entire Middle East, the way life circled around in Iran, complete modern living. What Iran was in the 60s and what it became in 70s is completely different. More modern living than America also, more modern living than Europe also. But suddenly the twist of turn happened. In the foundation classes we will talk about it. Okay?
Because of regional politics.
Everything is because of that only. Yeah. Dehyphenation is basically, I am saying, when you say, for example, you are talking about the Indian Ocean, you talk only about the Indian Ocean. Do not link Indo-Pacific. The moment you link Indo-Pacific, the moment you link anything where you are talking with Indo-Pacific, the moment this word comes, this guy becomes angry. Yes or no? So that is why we are saying when you talk about India, talk about Indian Ocean and the surrounding areas. You do not talk about Pacific in that. If you talk about Pacific, you talk only about Pacific, you do not include what you call the Indian Ocean in that. So we are talking about dehyphenation. Why? Because if you do not dehyphenate, you become entrapped into the issue which is related to the other hyphen, whether this hyphen or that hyphen. I do not want, because you are saying Indo-China. If you give the Indo-China climate to Quad, this guy will become angry against India. The result you saw, all the entire border became active. Why do you think the border became active with India and China? Do you think this problem was not there, Galwan Valley or Ladakh Valley or Pangangso Lake or DBC? These problems were there. It only became active because you hyphenated this and did something wrong there, establishing a grouping there, and you became member of it. Obviously he will become angry. So that is how dehyphenation will lead to, independently targeting the issues without clubbing, major countries into that. So that is where we are talking about dehyphenation. Okay? It is a concept, not executed on ground, just a concept, hyphenation and dehyphenation. Okay? When it gets executed on ground, maybe by the time you will be 20 years into service or something. Okay? Yeah. Next topic is Iron Dome. What is this Iron Dome? Kiska hai? Israel. What is this Iron Dome of Israel? What it is? What it is? What kind of an equipment it is? Air defense system. See, it is nothing but an air defense system of one country called Israel. There are in the world 3 to 4 renowned air defense system. S-400 also happens to be a very strong air defense system which India has recently purchased from Russia. There is one more air defense system by America called THAAD, THAAD. Full form मेरे को याद नहीं है, पूछना मत, Google कर लो. Why India did not purchase THAAD? Box बनाओ. Why India did not purchase THAAD and India purchased what you call S-400? One important reason is the range, and second reason is the use of GPS satellite for the coordinates, and we have a bad experience in Kargil with America. So that is one reason India said तुम लोगों ने एक बार हमको धोखा दिया है, अगली बार तुम्हारे साथ रिश्ता नहीं जोड़ेंगे. ठीक है? So that is how we are not very comfortable in third. So that's why we went to, and S400 in comparison also, technical comparison with third, much more potent than third. See, now what you have to understand here is, say for example, this is the border between two countries. Israel is here, the neighboring country is here, whichever is the neighboring country. Purposefully I am not writing the name. Now, for example, at regular intervals, this neighboring country, this denotes a gun. He is firing what you call missiles into your territory. The frequency of firing of the missiles is very high. So, Israel decided to develop a system that can intercept the missiles well high in the air and destroy them in the air only before they land on the ground. So, here there are two dimensions. One is interception, the second is destruction. Two dimensions are there. So, an air defense system not only contains the detection but also the destruction capabilities. So, what they do is they will place some what you call iron dome systems in their territory, which will create an umbrella of entire scope where the entire air mass is covered. The capacity of the iron dome is to have an umbrella spread of 150 square kilometer, one iron dome missile system. It can cover 150 square kilometers. What happens is, when a missile fires from here, because of your interception here, it will try to extrapolate depending on the angle and the velocity. It will try to extrapolate and find out the original location. This is one capacity. The second capacity is, once you have identified, you have to intercept and you will have to launch a missile that this particular missile gets destroyed while in the air only. So, two dimensions are there. One is interception, second is destruction. It is said that in the last 10 years, more than 3000 projectiles have been intercepted by the Iron Dome air defense system by Israel. Just imagine, had these 3000 projectiles landed on ground and burst on ground, that will be havoc. So that is how to defend its country from this regular onslaught of missiles being fired into Israel. Israel developed this system. India also had a system before S400, but it was only detection. It was not detection and firing also, it was only detection. A system called weapon locating radar, which we had bought from US, weapon locating radar we already had. But the thing is, it was only locating radar. It was based on this extrapolation. It is only locating from where the the ammunition has been fired. The moment this radar catches this data, he will pass on this data to another artillery unit of the Indian Army, which will fire on this particular coordinates. So that is how it is called retaliation fire. It is called retaliation fire. So this S400 is an all integrated system. Interpretation also happens and the destructions also automatically happens. It does not have to call anybody to destroy. One single button, interception also happens and the destruction also happens. Very potent missile system of Israel. Okay? Now, but certain try to understand certain features, please. One important is, it is short range. It is short range Iron Dome. The reason why India did not buy this Iron Dome is because of its short range. Had it had the range of 300 to 400 kilometers, we would have definitely bought it. Okay? So short range, ground to air. When a weapon is launched from ground to air, it can catch. Ground to air defense system that includes a radar and an interceptor missile that can track and neutralize any rockets or missile. So it has two systems, both radar and the interceptor missile. The missile he will fire and both the missiles will bang each other in the high above the air. Okay? It is used for countering rockets, artillery and motors, as well as aircraft, helicopters and unmanned aerial vehicles. please write these two words, you may forget. He may give these words and ask you questions in prelims. ठीक है? It is capable of being used in all weather conditions including during the day and night. Very important dimension.
Air to air it is not capable.
No, because of the angle of descent changing. Because of the angle of descent. See, always remember the missiles generally, long range missiles have a projectile. Which goes into layers of atmosphere and then come back into the surface of the earth. Because it travels into the layers of the atmosphere, you get time to intercept and fire. Because and when it is air to ground missiles, they come at a faster pace, you cannot intercept it that short notice. So that is the reason why the air defense system, it can target that aircraft, because that aircraft would be present in the ground for in the air for a longer period of time, but it cannot target that particular missile. Okay, that's one. So they have given a pictorial representation how it happens. The enemy artillery they did not show, they only just wrote enemy artillery. These are the three dimensions of the Iron Dome system. These two are meant to basically track. This is the missile firing unit. It will intercept and it will immediately fire based on its interception. Okay? It is effective and all. This I have explained it to you. The third is terminal high altitude area defense, which is of US. Yeah, this project Unnati was in news. Project Unnati, I will very shortly try to explain about this. This is basically a skill development program, and skill development of whom? The Manrega workers, the Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act. The Manrega workers skill development is basically the aim of this project called Project Unnati, and this is 100% centrally funded. Please make a note, 100% centrally funded. कहीं ना कहीं लिखा होगा, आएगा देखते हैं. ठीक है? And what is the aim? This project is meant for providing training for one adult member 18 to 45 years old of a household who has completed 100 days of work in the previous financial year from the year of commencement of the project. If from a family, one adult member, he has worked for 100 days in Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Act in the previous year, he becomes eligible. See, you know Manrega is basically an unskilled project. So now the government is trying to say how long they will remain unskilled. Now it is my responsibility to skill them also. So it is identifying people who have done this kind of work and trying to upskill them so that they can move from unskilled labor to either semi-skilled or skilled, either semi-skilled or skilled labor. That is the intention. And this is a 100 days program, and in that 100 days program, when they are undergoing program, they will get stipend. The stipend will not be equivalent to the wage, but there would be some amount of money that they will be getting as stipend. Okay? It does not mean that if they are undergoing training in this year, they will not get 100 days job. They will get 100 days job also, but once the job is complete, intention is to upscale them from unskilled to either semi-skilled or skilled labor. That is the primary intention of this particular project of the government. Okay? See, full expenditure towards a stipend against the wage loss compensation are entirely borne by the central government. Okay? And the target was 2 lakh people, but hardly some 8-9,000 only they have been able to do. That's the problem. See, 8,658 persons only have been done. Yeah. Next, very important, COP27. Whatever is happening related to COP27 is important from your prelims point of view. So one new grouping they have formed called Ambition on Melting Ice on Sea Level Rise and Mountain Water Resources. Please try to understand, India is not a member of this grouping. India is not a member of this grouping because of the nature melting ice. India could have been because of the presence of Siachen glacier, but for some reasons which is beyond my understanding, India is not there. So it is basically, if you see, these are all the countries where there is certain amount of presence of ice in certain amount of time period in a year. They are all members of this particular grouping. But do you see our good friend here? Pakistan nahi re, Russia. Pakistan is more than friend to India. Okay, don't undermine him by calling him friend. Acha, what is cryosphere? हाँ, कौन बताएगा? What is cryosphere? हाँ, what is cryosphere? CRYO, geography optional. कौन है? कोई है geography optional? हाँ, बोल रहे. Cryosphere क्या है? हाँ, that part of the earth surface that is water body that is frozen is called cryosphere. Now the problem is, a glacier is also a classic example of cryosphere. See, the melted sea lakes are also, the frozen sea lakes are also example of cryosphere. Your what you call, if not sea lake, if it is a freshwater lake, it is getting frozen and remained frozen for a adequate period of time, it is also part of cryosphere. Now anybody, why in environment related issues, why this cryosphere becomes an important element of discussion? Because the increased global warming will increase the pace of melting of these water bodies. If they melt, then the sea levels will automatically rise. So that is the reason why it has a connect. That is the reason why it has a, and mountain water resources. When the glaciers melt, the water comes from the mountains down the sea, flooding that entire area. What it says, the cryosphere is the part of the earth's climate system that includes solid precipitation. Please make a note that includes solid precipitation. It could be an iceberg, it could be a river ice, it could be a sea ice, even snow is part of your cryosphere. Please make a note. What is a permafrost? Excellent. Just it is subsurface of the earth, not on the surface of the earth. Subsurface of the earth, where just under the soil there is huge amount of ice, and if that melts, because it is said that permafrost has the higher capacity to retain carbon, and the moment that permafrost melts, higher amount of carbon would be released into the what you call atmosphere. So that is how more carbon intense the atmosphere will become. I think there are some photographs also I will show, but please make a note of this cryosphere. Please also may understand, seasonally frozen ground need not be permanent. Even a seasonally frozen ground will come under the definition of cryosphere. Okay? Important. If it is frozen, it will come. But Dal Lake hardly gets frozen here. Hardly get, नहीं frozen तो मैंने नहीं देखा कभी, मेरे 11 साल की नौकरी में. दाल लेक को ठंडा बहुत जरूर होता है, but frozen नहीं. ठीक. See, frozen does not mean a small sheet of ice. No, it does not mean that. ठीक. Impact of cryosphere on global climate. Albedo. What is albedo? The reflection of the, ठीक है. The snow and ice have high albedo. They reflect most of the light without being absorbed and helps in, very important, the albedo helps in the cooling of the earth. Thus, the presence or absence of snow and ice affects the heating and cooling of earth's surface. This influences the entire planet's energy balance. Very, very important. So, albedo plays an important role in the cooling of the earth's surface. The moment if the more of the ice gets melted, it means more of absorption of the sun's energy, more absorption of the sun's energy, it will increase the global temperature. That's what importance of this particular ice. And what is the feedback loop? What is the feedback loop? कौन बताएगा? Just a balance between permafrost and the albedo effect. It says melting of ice reduces the reflective surface and the ocean and land are darker in color, which absorbs more solar radiation and then release the heat to the atmosphere. So, say for example, if it was ice here, earlier it was getting reflected, and if the ice starts melting and if this portion becomes darker, when the energy in sun's rays is coming, instead of reflection it is getting absorbed. So this will increase the what you call heat in the surface. So that is how it is called as feedback loop. Now what is a permafrost? See, just under the surface of the earth, what is there? And this permafrost is known for holding lot of carbon and methane. So when it starts melting, the higher what you call temperature will lead into release of more and more oxygen into the what you call atmosphere. These all constitute your cryosphere. Even snow, glaciers, rivers, frozen grounds, oceans, sea ice, everything. Come back to permafrost. A thick, very important, he will use this word. He will just use surface. It is not surface, it is the subsurface layer of the soil that remains, very important, below the freezing point, and very important throughout the year, occurring chiefly in polar regions. It's very difficult unless and until if it is below freezing point throughout the year, maintaining that ice sheet just below the earth is very, very difficult, because the earth radiates heat from inside, no? The earth radiates heat from inside. If that heat has to be compensated, your freezing point has to be much more lower than that particular heat to ensure that the permafrost is developed in that thick dimensions. Okay? Permafrost is potentially a major source of methane and carbon dioxide. The permafrost of the polar region has trapped tons of carbon inside its soil, and if the global temperature increases, this permafrost will release this carbon and methane, which is what you call held captive in that particular permafrost. Okay? It contains 1400 to 1600 billion tons of carbon. What can happen? Just imagine. See, that is the reason why that 2 degree temperature for a common man, 2 degree temperature में क्या फर्क पड़ता है? Fan 3 की जगह 4 में चला लूँगा, right? But it has lot of negative effect on our geography, world geography. ठीक है? So that is why we are trying to aspire for this plus 2 degrees centigrade. We will have to see how far we can go. There is one news on, it was in news, no? RBI has penalized the various entities which it regulates in around 48 cases for amount of 73 crore rupees. RBI has penalized them. Now, the point is, whenever RBI penalizes a bank or any controlled entity, there is no there is a banking ombudsman system in the RBI, but it is for a customer. Sir, वहाँ पे banks cannot take rescue from there. So it means that banks have to either pay the penalty or go to the court. Only 2 dimensions they have. There is no third option left to them. So that is the reason why it is being observed that whenever RBI, see other entities, controlling entities, SEBI has its appellate authority, RBI does not have its appellate authority. Now the critics are saying even for RBI there should be a appellate authority. So this is where the problem comes. What RBI stand on this particular issue is, if that appellate authority does not understand the role of a regulator in the economy, and if it takes that punitive action very loosely and tries to see only from the prism of some protection cover being given, then there would be a problem. What would be the problem? Because one small action or inaction may have a cascading effect on the entire economy. So if that cascading effect of the economy and the fear of RBI in the eyes of commercial banks and the regulated entities have to be maintained, it has to function independently without the presence of any appellate authority. See, what happens is, say for example, if there is an appellate authority, the first point what it will happen, the moment RBI finds SBI, it will say, "ठीक है, I will go to the appellate authority," and the jurisprudence in India, we know it will take years. So now what will happen, this bank over a period of time, whatever fear it had against RBI, over a period of time that fear will start coming lower. So it will not act as per the directions given by the RBI. So this is one of the fears that RBI has. It says that an appellate authority should not be existing for functioning of RBI because of its role, because of the nature of duties that RBI performs. See, they are talking about SEBI. They are saying SEBI has a appellate authority. They are also talking about IRDI, Insurance Regulatory and Development Authority of India. It also has a appellate authority. So when these two entities have an appellate authority, why RBI is not having an appellate authority? Make a question. Write a question. Give your views on establishing an appellate authority, against rulings given by, rulings के बाद ब्रैकेट में लिखो penalties imposed, rulings given by RBI as part of its regulatory functions, ठीक है. These are all self-explanatory, you can go through it. There was a recent dispute between Assam and Meghalaya, interstate disputes, very important, Assam and Meghalaya. These questions appear both in prelims as well as mains, and because this is burning issue, so that is how it will definitely have an important say. Before we come to the topic, I will show you two maps first. This is the blow up of the map. This is Assam. This is all Assam. And this is Meghalaya. And the issue is in this particular area of both the states. Now, we will go down further. I will give you a blow up of both the states. Yeah. If you see this, these are the districts where the problem is there between Assam and these states. These are the 4 districts of Assam. Please go through the districts maps of Assam and Meghalaya. Try to find out which district is where, important from geography, also current affairs point of view. And the second, when I go blow up of Meghalaya, these are the districts which are having the disputes. One is North Garo Hills, the second is the West Khasi Hills. These are the two districts which have majorly disputes between Assam and Meghalaya. So these are the important districts. So the district maps of Meghalaya and Assam, try to by heart them, important from your examination point of view. Now, what it is saying, Assam and Meghalaya have a long standing dispute in 12 stretches of their border, which is around 884 kilometers. Distance is not important. During British rule, undivided Assam included the present day, please make a note, of Nagaland, Arunachal Pradesh, Meghalaya and Mizoram. Undivided Assam, which included the present day Nagaland, Arunachal Pradesh, Meghalaya and Mizoram. And Meghalaya was carved out in 1972. Its boundary demarcated as per the Assam Reorganization Meghalaya Act of 1969. Now the problem is there is a difference in interpretation of this boundary. What is the boundary regulation? Assam Reorganization Meghalaya Act of 1969. So as per this particular act, the boundary between Assam and Meghalaya was demarcated. Now it says in 2011 the Meghalaya government had identified 12 areas of difference with Assam spread over approximately 2700 square kilometers. Now we know the two districts of Meghalaya where he is talking about this problem. What is the major point of concern? A major point of contention between Assam and Meghalaya is the district of Langpi in West Garo Hills bordering the Kamrup district of Assam. Langpi and Kamrup districts. This is the Kamrup district of Assam. In the North Garo Hills, he is talking about, Langpi. Here in this particular area, he is talking about Langpi, which has a there is a dispute between Assam and Meghalaya both. Assam considers it to be part of the Mikir Hills in Assam. As part of the Kamrup district, it is considered them to be part of the Mikir Hills. Mikir Hills is in Assam, please make a note. Mikir Hills, M-I-K-I-R, Mikir Hills part of Assam. And what is Meghalaya saying? You are claiming them to be part of Assam, but where erstwhile parts of the United Khasi and Jaintia Hills which are part of Meghalaya. So they are primarily questioning the demarcation of the boundary between Assam and Meghalaya. That is the logic that you need to understand. In 1985 also, the attempts were done to resolve this particular dispute. This is when Y.V. Chandrachud was the Chief Justice. He is the father of the present Chief Justice of India. He had one distinction. What is the distinction that he held? Nobody held in the longest Chief Justice of India, who served for I think more than 7 years, 7 or 8 years he has served. Very important. Y.V. Chandrachud, not the present Chief Justice. Okay? After that, lot of these things are happening. But the dispute still exists where no peaceful solution was being found. So these two states are fighting. Which states are fighting? The general alignment of them, important areas which belong to which states. This is important from the examination perspective for you. Okay?
Sir, Karnataka and Maharashtra are also fighting.
Everybody is fighting here. Who is not fighting? Yeah. Last article, I suppose, 10 minutes we will close. India and Indonesia have carried out a joint exercise called Garuda Shakti. Please make a list of all military exercises of India, whether Air Force, whether Navy, whether Army or tri-services exercises also, bilateral exercises also and multilateral exercises also. You need to learn about. I think in this also I have given a list, but very important. See, Indonesia is one country. We played a very important role in its independence. India played a very important role in its independence. When there was a fight between the Dutch and the British, one person left, the other person tried to take over immediately, colonize Indonesia. But India raised this issue in the United Nations Forum. That is why I always say India played an important role in decolonizing the world. Despite the fact that India played an important role in getting Indonesia its independence, the relationships between India and Indonesia have gone on the darker side over a period of time. Now they are slowly reinvigorating. So it is again a classic example of diplomatic success internationally, diplomatic failure bilaterally. Diplomatic success internationally and diplomatic failure bilaterally. When in 1971 India fought with Pakistan, Indonesia supported Pakistan, despite the fact that you fought for his independence. So it is a bilateral diplomatic failure. So that's a classic example of India and Indonesia. These are some of the other list of other bilateral exercises that we are holding as of now. I probably have spoken about this. The main intention of any military bilateral, quadrilateral, trilateral or multilateral, the intention is to establish, very important, establish interoperability, basically ability to what you call operate with each other with ease in high seas or an alien ground. That is the intention, to establish interoperability. Break the word, interoperability. So this is the important decision related to this. So with this we come to the end of today's current affairs discussions. Anybody having any doubt in what has been discussed, they can ask.
So European Union has stated terrorism as a Russian.
Come again?
Terrorist countries. European Union has classified as terrorist country Russia.
रशिया को फर्क पड़ता है क्या? You have stated Pakistan as a terrorism country. उसको कुछ फर्क पड़ा है क्या? उसको जहाँ से पैसे आना है आ रहा है. So there is no permanent friend or permanent enemy. It is only permanent interest, and that interest is called national interest. Simple. Abhi European Union has to now learn. European Union has become the toddler baby of USA. It has to start learning to live on its own. If it does not learn in next 30-40 years, it will again get balkanized. Again third world will happen. Again disintegration. Hitler too will be born. Something else will happen because it has not learnt. That's what in yesterday's class of my foundation I was talking about a word called US has been successful in creating dependency of Europe on United States, where in the absence of US, European Union is not able to survive. So it is like the child is not able to survive without the mother. So it is generally happens when you are in the infancy. Once you are grown up, you don't need mother, you need somebody else. So Europe is not growing up. Okay? That's the logic. Europe has to learn the art of growing up. There was a message which I try to decipher. When will be the mains explanation for mentorship 1? Announce the time in the class if it is today. If I don't want to take it today, it will not be today. Mentorship 1 कितने लोग हैं यहाँ पे? Good amount. Economy था ना आप लोगों का? Economy. You want me to take it today? No? I am not available for next 3 days. In that case, I will take it on Thursday. 3 days, that is Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday I am going to Chennai. I will be back on Wednesday night. So then I will take it on Thursday evening, if that be the case. Is it okay? Hello. Okay. Your prelims will happen on Monday, I think. Prelims explanation will happen on Monday. You will get to know the time. Yeah. Anything else? अगले क्लास थोड़ा लंबी बात चली. गैस लाइटिंग भी बात करूंगा. I'll speak about greenwashing also. Gas lighting, I think we have done a video also on that. YouTube में I think we have done a video also. Try to see that video if it is there. Gas lighting. I had told them to do, whether they have done it or not, I have not seen. सब आएंगे उसके ऊपर. Yes, yes, yes. हाँ.
We purchased many missiles and aircrafts from Russia, but why we fear of CAATSA sanction for S-400?
Not S-400 only. See, what is CAATSA? CAATSA is about countering American adversaries through Sanctions Act. यही है CAATSA. Now, these two words are important. Are you American adversary? You are a strategic partner, no? Countering American adversary through Sanctions Act. Now her question is, we are purchasing so much from Russia. Why it is that US was threatening India that if you purchase this, I will, invoke the CAATSA Act against you. Answer lies in simple yaar. This is one. This second is, see, always remember, this S-400 missile is a series of missile system. It is not one missile system. Already S-500 is also there. S-500 is also there. It means once India gets into the loop of this type of missile system, there is a high probability that it will only get advanced in future, maybe S-600, maybe S-700. It means once and for all, I have lost market for this. Right? That is the reason why the definition of American adversary is not static. It is dynamic. वो अपने हिसाब से American adversary का definition change कर देगा. Because if you do not buy this weapon, you are making him adversary. As a sovereign country, do I have a right to buy from wherever I want to or not? Who are you to? Firstly, this is flawed. Because I did not purchase it from you, you cannot invoke this. Even if I don't want to purchase it from you, even if I want to purchase from him only, who has given you this authority? So you are trying to say that I do not have sovereignty, which I have. So that's the problem. Historically, the only country in the world that showed eyes to US is India only. No other country in the world escaped the US onslaught after showing eyes to US till date. Whether it is nuclear explosion, whether it is these kind of defense deals, whether it is supporting any country which is adversary of America, India always maintained, I am a sovereign country. See, many a times, that's why you have to understand, even in Ukraine-Russia war, if India wanted, India could have played a major mediocre role as an arbitrator between Ukraine and Russia. But I told you, India believes in non-interference. It will not interfere in the internal affairs of those two countries till such time it does not affect me directly. I interfered in East Pakistan because it affected me directly. I will not interfere. He is a good friend of mine. You are also trying to be a good friend of mine, but I know you are not a friendship material. So I will not disturb my existing friendship because of a proposed friendship. So that is why we went ahead continuing to purchase the S-400 system from Russia. The reason why it is only for this is it knows it is a series of missile system, not only. Even during the BrahMos also, it tried everything to do. But we were also intelligent, no? We also escaped all the routes. Okay? We are intelligent, don't worry. Yeah. बेटा मेरे कान तेरे को पता है ना, थोड़ा जोर से बोल. Fair elections, yes. It is an independent body. Who said it is not an independent body? That's what I am saying. See, that's what is the Supreme Court stand. See, appointment, this is only one dimension of election commission's functioning. Once Arun Goyal is appointed as election commissioner, he is not reporting to government every day, no? He is doing his job. But till such time of appointment, there is no procedure established. That's the problem. That's what Supreme Court is also saying. You tell what are the guidelines for appointment, what is the criteria, qualification required for the appointment, all these things you are not doing. And which is the committee that is selecting, who is selecting, what are the contentions, what good job, bad job he has done, why are you always picking bureaucrats, all these things asking. See, what Supreme Court is trying to tell, which the common man is not understanding, is the Supreme Court is trying to tell, if you bring in a yes man, and if all the 3-4 people including the chief election commissioners are yes man, the timing of the elections can be manipulated. Yes or no? The conduct of the elections in some dimensions can be manipulated. So you may be honest, but you may not be independent. That was the last line, no? You may be honest, but you cannot be independent, because because it will create a dependency on the government for the election commission to function. So that is the reason why there are a lot of dimensions of what you call their pay and perks, the dimensions of their tenure of service, the dimensions of the administrative support that can be given to the election commission. Government is not giving them so cleanly. So it is definitely against the spirit of democracy. So that is the reason why Supreme Court is asking the government, no? 24 घंटे का time दिया है. In 24 hours you tell me how you have appointed. So now it is a big, it is a very daring step by the Supreme Court. It is not an easy step. And when you know that the government is an what you call an absolute government without any support of any what you call outside parties, you have to be very careful when you make a statement. But still the Supreme Court made a statement, because the final responsibility to uphold the spirit of the constitution is with the Supreme Court. So that is why it invoked Article 324 subsection 5 saying where is the law. Okay? See, every chief justice has his kitty, no? So निकालेगा दिखाएगा, हाँ भाई बताओ. हाँ सर. Can you relate मेरे को? कोलिजियम, एक वर्ड समझ में आया. कोलिजियम appointment of judges will happen. Yes. No, Supreme Court is only telling one thing. Supreme Court is not saying let the existing election commissioner decide who will be the next election commissioner. No, it is only saying the government has the authority to appoint the chief election commissioner and also the election commissioner, but make a law. What is the procedure? Make a law. What is the qualification requirement? No. It is not advisory role. Supreme Court, it is questioning. It is not advisory, because advisory articles are separate. Yeah.
Is this judgment going to have any impact on collegium cases going on?
That's what I am saying. You have to understand last line. The sacrosanctness of independence of executive is as important as independence of. Last line यही था ना article का. What was the last line of the article? Government stand का last line. How much you speak about independence of your judiciary, I also speak about the independence of my. That's what the Supreme Court is, government is trying to tell. That's what. तू तेरा देख, मैं मेरा देखूंगा. That's the logic. ठीक है? चलो. Anybody else? Somebody was asking something from here, from this slot. हाँ, the balcony is silent today. What happened? These are my leftists, these are my rightists, they are the central balcony, higher people, rich people. You know? Anything else? Chalo.
Interstate river water disputes కానీ state districts Assam Meghalaya districts ఇట్లాంటి disputes ఉన్నాయి కదా.
Very important. Box बनाओ. इस गधे ने एक और काम दिया तुम लोगों को. interstate council and zonal councils के बारे में पढ़ो. You will read about them and come to me. Not only asking questions, you will have to bloody go and read. ठीक है? हाँ, interstate council and zonal councils. Please study about them. Why they have been established? What is their role in democracy? Are they efficient in their functioning? Are they losing their sheen over a period of time in their raising voice against the unitariness of the government? All these things you will have to.
సంవత్సరాల నుంచి ప్రాబ్లం సాల్వ్ చేయకపోతే ఇది సివిల్ వార్కి
Civil war. What I told you. He has a valid point here.
అంటే ఐడియాలజీ ఉండాలి సివిల్ వార్ కన్నా.
It's not about nothing.
పవర్ గెయిన్ చేయడం.
All these interstate disputes are fought on, understand, on the lines of religion, on the lines of language, on the lines of regionalism and ideology, not on the lines of righteousness. They do not say. There is a lot of border disputes, water sharing dispute between Punjab and Haryana. There are a lot of border state water sharing disputes between J&K, Punjab, Uttarakhand, Himachal and Haryana. So why? Because Punjab says it is one of the points of contention of Punjab pre-independence. Okay, I do not get adequate amount of water because of your magnanimity you wanted to show to the world. You gave 80% of the water to Pakistan and you gave only 20% of water to me. So these are all contentious issues. But over a period of time, because of the nature of the issues, there is no fixed template solution to any water dispute. That's the problem. Because in one particular year the flow of the water is adequate, in one particular it is less, in another particular it is flooding. So and so many other dimensions are there when you talk about water disputes. So it will definitely happen that it will go in for multiples of decades of years of negotiation, and you may not find a all acceptable solution to all the states involved in that. It will never happen, because if one state has to give more water, why that state will agree? Because it has got political fallouts. The political party may lose the elections because you gave more water to that particular state. So that is the reason why, to uphold their political ideologies, value system or vote bank politics, generally you will not find a solution to these problems. They tend to be an open-ended issues for long time to come. Okay, no more questions from Paul Gandhi. Okay. Chalo, thank you very much. We'll meet again.